Okay, it's time to build our Barbarian, and this time a Pure Berserker build. For everyone that likes a nice simple build, one of the easiest ones you can do. The main feature is the armor and stuff. So, we're going to start with our Barbarian, and we're going to start with our ability points, and you want something that's going to look a bit like this. 16 Strength, 16 Constitution, 14 Dex, 8 Intelligence or Wisdom, vice versa, and then 10 in Charisma. For your proficiencies, take whatever as always. And then it's on to level 2. We have Danger Sense, so you have advantage on Dexterity saving throws. And we have Reckless Attack, so until your next turn you have advantage on attack rolls, but enemies have advantage against you, so just remember that. If you roll with advantage, they roll with advantage. Okay, Barbarian level 3, and of course we're going with our Berserker. This is more of the brute force melee based Barbarian, so we're going to take this. And that brings us to level 4 and our first ability, score improvement or feat. And I would personally start with Savage Attacker. When making a melee attack rolls, you roll your damage die twice and use the highest result. Really, really good. Okay, Barbarian level 5, we have extra attack, so now we make 2 attacks per round, and we have fast movement, so as long as we're not wearing heavy armor, which we're not proficient with, we gain 3 meters extra movement. Okay, Barbarian level 6, we get an additional rage charge, which is always nice. 65 health at level 6 is really good, and mindless rage. So while frenzied, you cannot be charmed, frightened, or have calm emotions. Really good for helping deal with spellcasters, warlocks, that sort of situation that are going to try and negate the damage output from your Barbarian, because they're not going to be able to be charmed or frightened. Okay, Barbarian level 7, Feral Instinct. You get a +3 bonus to initiative and can't be surprised. And if you pair this with the rogue who can't be surprised, really, really powerful party composition. Okay, Barbarian level 8. The key thing of this is we get another feat, so we're going to bump our strength up to 18. Now, Barbarian level 9, we have access to Brutal Critical. When you land a critical hit, you roll an extra damage die, as well as the normal additional critical dice. Really, really good stuff. It's basically an extra die of damage just for hitting a critical. Barbarian level 10, 105 health, so we've hit that triple figure total. We also have Intimidating Presence. Menace an enemy and instill terrible fear within them. So really good if you want to just scare enemies and stop them from being able to attack you. Not really something I've ever really used. I prefer just hitting things. But if you want to try and fear some people so they don't really do anything, there's your option. Barbarian level 11, 115 health, and Relentless Rage. Once per short rest, if you drop to 0 hit points while enraged, you regain 1 hit point instead of being down, which is really, really good, because it means you haven't got to waste a movement to help someone, anything like that. They'll just spring back, almost like the Orcish ability. And the final level, level 12, one more feat, and for this one you could either do an ASI and bump your strength up to 20, which is probably what I would do. You could also take Durable, so your constitution increases by 1, not amazing, but you regain 4 hit points every time you short rest. There's also Great Weapon Master. When you land a critical hit or kill a target with a weapon attack, you can make another weapon attack as part bonus action that turn. Attacks with melee weapons you're proficient with and are wielded in both hands can deal an additional 10 damage at the cost of a -5 attack roll. We're going to take this just so I can show you how it works, but I would personally take the ASI if you just want to play it nice and simple. Your option is Sentinel. When an enemy within melee range attacks an ally, you can use a reaction to make a weapon attack against that enemy. The only thing is, this is only really good if you've sort of got your frontliner, Berserker, with another frontliner, or unless you're being swarmed at the back line. It's not really good if your Berserker's obviously all the way in the front and you've got a bunch of ranged people and an enemy sneaks through. So it's very situational. It depends on how your party is, in my opinion. So for now, we'll take Great Weapon Master. Okay, so that was our build, level 1 to 12 done. So let's focus on some equipment. Now, I'm going to have a few options for each one. We'll start with helmets. So my main choice for endgame would be the Helm of Baldur. I'm not going to tell you how to get this in case you haven't played the game, but it gives you a +1 to your armor class and saving throws, heals you for 2 hit points, and you cannot be stunned or critically hit. A very good helmet. The other option, the Flawed Helldusk Helmet. +2 bonus to saving throws against spells, and Constitution saving throws +1. Really good. For a cloak, there is obviously the Cloak of Protection, gives you a +1 to your AC, or I really like the Cindermoth Cloak. A creature that damages the wearer within 2 meters receives burning, which means they take damage for dealing damage. When it comes to armors, obviously any of the barbarian clothing armors are an option. There's also the adamantine scale mail, which is such a very powerful armor that you can get in Act 1, and it will last you a long time, potentially to the end game. But if those aren't an option for you, then you could use this. Exotic Materials UNT Scale Mail. The reason this is really good is that it uses your dexterity modifier as well as your armor class. You get a +1 to your initiative, and there's no disadvantage on stealth checks. So if, like me, you lost all your barbarian clothing and you didn't get the adamantine scale, or you sold it by accident, this is a really good option to take. Medium armor, proficient with it, and it allows you to buff your AC. For boots, any sort of freedom of movement boots are really good. Anything that will allow you to walk across the battlefield, anything that will stop you getting webbed or entangled. The other option is the Space Hunt boots, which allow you to do Dimension Door, which is just another way for you to take your barbarian across the battlefield at short notice. Now for gloves, if you're at the very end game, then the Gauntlets of Hill Giant Strength are your go-to. These will boost your strength to 23, which means if you wanted to, you could then play around with your stats. If you haven't got access to this, or you're doing a different kind of playthrough, then the Legacy of Masters are really good. Again, a +2 bonus to attack and damage rolls with weapons, and a strength saving throw +1. Really powerful stuff. When it comes to rings, my 2 favourite for the Berserker, the Killer's Sweetheart. So when you kill a creature, your next attack will be a critical hit. Once spent, this refreshes on a long rest. So basically, once you kill an enemy, your next attack is a guaranteed critical. Couple that with things like Great Weapon Master, and it's a massive damage outpour. I really like the Ring of Regeneration as well. At the beginning of your turn, the ring activates and heals you for 1 to 4 hit points. Really good if you are playing as the frontliner. And again, if you were to pair this with the Helm of Baldur, you'd be getting anywhere between 2 and 6 HP back at the start of every turn. Really powerful. And for an amulet, I really like the Amulet of Misty Step. Again, it's just another way to dance yourself around the battlefield at short notice. If enemies sneak through to your more squishy backliners, you can Misty Step as a bonus action to them and help them out. Anything that will allow you to get around the battlefield would be what I would go for. The only thing I would avoid, and I can't remember what item it is, I think it's boots. Let me just double check. Yes, the boots are very fast blinking. Do not use these. Yes, it gives you a Misty Step type ability, but what it also does is leaves all your clothes behind. So when you teleport, you have no clothes on, which is fine for getting around the battlefield, but if you don't realise, like I didn't, and you just think your character's lost their clothes constantly, or there's a glitch in the game, then you're going to waste a lot of your armour. Hence why my Karlach build in my first playthrough has some very weird armours constantly. When it comes to weapons, if you're at the mid, like Act 3-ish, the Sword of Chaos is my go-to. I love this. Really helps with the buffing your hit points. So on a hit, regain 1 to 6 hit points. And considering you're doing 3 hits a turn, you can really build this up. It's 2d6 plus 6 slashing damage, plus 2 slashing damage, plus 1d4 necrotic damage, 24 maximum damage overall. Very powerful weapon to use. If you are at the very end game, then Baldur's Giant Slayer is the sword to go for. On a hit, you double the damage from your strength modifier, so in which case it goes from being a +5 to a +10. Or, if you have the Gauntlets of Hill Giant Strength on, it's a +6 to a +12. Really powerful, very good for just making sure you damage people, and it gives you advantage on large, huge, and gargantuan creatures. So that is our Karlach build. I say our Karlach build, our Berserker build on Karlach. Let's go find some combat and we'll test this out. Okay, here we are in our turn order, and as you can see, Karlach is actually joint first with my rogue, which is really good stuff. So for this build to work, it is very simple. Depending on where you are, make sure you have Great Weapon Master turned on or off. So it is currently off. If we turn it on, we take that -5, but we get 10 extra damage per hit. So to begin, always make sure you frenzy. Just like that. Now let me just make sure this is on. It is. Excellent. And we're just going to start hitting for the fences. And there you go, a massive critical hit, 49 damage thanks to Great Weapon Master. And we have a 75% chance to hit still, despite the fact we're taking the -5 to hit.
Sometimes the only way.
So you see they missed the sneak attack, which is really good, because sneak attacks do hurt a lot. And there you go, we took 7 damage, and 12 damage that time from a critical hit. Okay, it is now Karlach's turn, so we're going to swing for the fences. And there you go, 19 damage, an instant kill, and thanks to the Killer's Sweetheart, we are now about to do a critical hit on our next attack. So let's come up here. Maneuver ourselves around, and we're going to see a massive damage output here. So we get to toggle it, because it's a guaranteed hit. And there you go, another 52 damage. Okay, so, as you probably gathered, this build is so simple, it's just a matter of hitting a lot. And you see we've got another critical hit, and we healed for 1 health. Please note, Misty Step and Dimension Door will not work while you are frenzying. So just bear that in mind, okay? Now, if we were to do an enraged throw, you can actually throw any item you have in your inventory at the enemies. So I don't know if it will reach from here, but let's find out. Here we go, so we've got a 65% chance of hitting. And there you go, we did 3 damage and knocked them prone. Really, really good stuff. And the good news is that Frenzy works with ranged attacks. So if we were to come over here, another critical hit. It's such a powerful build, and we're just critting like crazy at the moment. You see, they just hit us with a crit. There was only 6 damage. Okay, so what I'm going to show off is just how this build works when you just want to keep swinging. Let's say you've got a big old boss. You can do your first hit. You can do your second hit, and don't forget, if you are going to miss your attack, you can try being reckless. But if that misses as well, you can come back in with a bonus action Frenzied Strike, which also missed. We'll pretend it didn't, but that is 3 attacks per round with your characters, and it's just such a massive damage output. Obviously we missed 2 attacks, which isn't ideal, but 3 hits with a Barbarian with that high of a damage output, you're looking at around 50 to 70 damage per round. Now don't forget you have other abilities like Cleave and stuff, you have Rush Attack, you have Lacerate. So let's say we just did a Cleave. There you go, so we did 26 damage with a Cleave. We healed for 6, as you saw, thanks to our lovely sword. And what's really cool, even when you use these abilities, you can then come back in, because they class as an attack, and do more attacks. And don't forget, if you're going to miss, you can toggle Reckless, and you can toggle your bonus action. And there you go, 39 damage there. And yeah, it's a really fun way of having a melee-focused, damage-dealing Barbarian. It's such a simple build, but the best combination is the use of the weapons. And don't forget, the weapons I've shown here aren't the most optimal. So if you do want to min-max and you want to find those weapons that I just listed, as opposed to the ones I showed on the character, your damage output, your AC, your healing is going to be through the roof. That has been my Pure Berserker build. Very simple to do, very easy, and very quick to do. If you enjoyed, please drop the episode a like. Helps me amazingly. If you change anything, let me know in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed already but you'd like to, that'd also be amazing. And hopefully, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.